Greetings, it's great to be here. Our 2016 article reached its finalized form in September of that year. Little did we know that we would soon be overwhelmed with new data, confirming in rather dramatic fashion our main conclusions. This data, of course, came from the surprise election of Donald Trump to the American presidency, a victory made possible to a very large extent from support from America's white Christians, both Protestant and Catholic, especially from the evangelicals. According to Robert Jones, a leading investigator of the changing religious landscape in the US, there simply never would have been a President Trump without the support of white Christians. And he would not have been reelected in 2024. Indeed, white evangelical support has only grown over time. Trump is presently racing ahead with his Project 2025 plans to enact massive environmental destruction across the United States and indeed the whole planet. Thus, it seems we now know that, far from riding to the rescue, American Christianity in its traditional formulation is going to be a primary agent in the wholesale environmental destruction. Given that so much hope emerged from that now long-distant political victory in 1996, saving the Endangered Species Act from Republican evisceration with major evangelical help, why did nothing else of political consequence emerge? After spending a decade suing the U.S. Forest Service and defending radical environmentalists in both civil and criminal courts, Bron invited me back in 2004 to pass the legal torch to other capable hands and join him in seeking answers. Our 2016 paper was a major step in that journey. The last decade has been further clarified. Right about the time that Bron, Gretel, and I were publishing our 2016 literature review, I began a 2-year period of field research among liberal congregations associated with the Center for Progressive Christianity and Calvary Chapels, a large confederation of evangelical congregations founded in 1965, located down the coast in Costa Mesa. I was alerted to Chapler's anti-environmentalism via Calvin Beisner's Resisting the Green Dragon campaign, a pejorative term he coined for contemporary environmentalism. One of the endorsers of Beisner's campaign was Jack Hibbs, a Chapler megachurch pastor in Chino, 30 miles east of LA. I interviewed Hibbs and analyzed a large number of his sermons. All of his sermons, dating back to the founding of this church in his living room in 1990, are online and searchable by Bible verses covered and themes expounded, creating a massive archive. Many other chaplers follow suit, posting all their sermons online. Hibbs and my other sites' sermon archives became a wellspring of data from my investigation. Over the past few years, I've presented 4 key findings from my research in 4 conference presentations. Number 1, chaplers have internalized an intense apocalyptic end-time belief in the imminent rapture, followed by 7 years of tribulation, and then by a supernatural destruction of planet Earth. Given that these end-time events could begin literally any second now, any concern about the climate crisis, mass extinction, or any other environmental problem is, at best, a tragic distraction. Chaplers are not date setters. Chuck Smith, the founder of the Chapler movement, set a number of dates that came and went with no second coming. They've learned their lesson. Now they simply take comfort that every day that passes means the rapture is one day closer. But they keep their jobs in the meantime. Number 2, chaplers believe that saving people from eternal punishment in hellfire is their primary responsibility. Again, any level of environmental concern distracts them from their main purpose that God has set for them. Number 3, chapelers experience an emotionally charged and pleasurable collective narcissism, binding them to the chapler movement and its anti-environmental and anti-queer ideology. This collective narcissism is built into the very structure of their theological and metaphysical beliefs. This realization fell upon me while listening to a chapel or pastor one Sunday morning. Number 4, chapelers repeatedly assert that heaven is their true home, not this planet. For more details on each of these points, you can easily find my corresponding presentations at bernardzaleha.com. The additional chapler trait I'd like to highlight this morning is their considerable susceptibility to conspiracy theories. One example makes the point. On November 9, 2011, Jack Hibbs delivered his opening sermon of his Worldview series. The sermon, entitled "What You Believe Defines You," was delivered during the Occupy Wall Street protests. In order to cast aspersions on these protests, he displayed a picture of the actor Tim Robbins with a protester behind him, holding up a sign saying, "Weed, not greed." Hibbs explained the picture as follows, and now I'm quoting. "This is in New York. This is Occupy Wall Street people. These are the people that are saying capitalism, free enterprise is wrong, it's evil. I did a little homework. Didn't take long. In about 5 minutes, you can find out that they are being paid to protest. Now they say they are against money and capitalism and corporate greed, but they're being paid by George Soros, by Kanye West, Roseanne Barr, Susan Sarandon, among others, and Mr. Tim Robbins, the actor. Some of those people haven't quite held up to his Of course, there was no evidence whatsoever that George Soros or anybody else was paying Occupy protesters in 2011, just as there is no evidence that anyone is hiring so-called crisis actors in the current anti-ICE protests currently occurring in Los Angeles. But Hibbs did a little homework on the internet and found out in about 5 minutes that Soros was hiring Occupy protesters. In other sermons and on his radio show, Hibbs also shares conspiracies about cap and trade policies and the origin of the catalytic converter in American automobiles, revealing his eagerness to believe in the conspiracy theories. Dare I say it, this makes sense. His form of evangelical Christianity is founded on a 2,000-year-old conspiracy theory about a talking snake who, 4,000 years before that, introduced death and suffering into a previously perfect world by convincing a naked woman to eat a piece of forbidden fruit. It's the primordial conspiracy theory and the foundation of Western Christianity. If Hibbs can believe this, why wouldn't he think that George Soros is hiring crisis actors? Can liberal Christianity save us from all this? The short answer is no. Liberal Christianity is in the process of dying off. I hang out with these people, and I'm often the youngest person in the room. Further, in the face of rising American fascism, direct assaults on marginalized community sucks up all the available activist energy. Lip service gets paid, but aside from initiatives to use ceramic mugs instead of styrofoam cups, and a few solar panels on church roofs, little else is done. All of my studies and experience of evangelicals and otherwise has led me to really question whether there has ever been someone who was not already environmentally concerned, who has felt compelled to take up the cross of environmental activism because someone told them their religion demanded it. I have known many people who do seem to enjoy framing their environmental activism in terms of their religious commitments. However, If they were to have an atheist epiphany suddenly, I think they'd still be environmentalists. I think the religious outer garb is really just an epiphenomenon. So where does this leave us? What then shall we do? I have thoughts, but I'll save them for our joint conversation later. Thank you.